Medicare has a new plan finder, and they're rolling it out right before Open Enrollment 2020. Isn't that wonderful? Hi, this is Bob Vineyard, your Medicare expert with the Georgia Medicare Minute. I have had the experience, I'm not going to say privilege, I've had the experience of taking a tour of the new Medicare Plan Finder. This is what most of us use to look for drug plans. And I've had a chance to use that as well as watch a video, a training video, if you will, that goes on for over an hour and a half. Well, I got news for you. We're not going to do a training video here. This will be a long video, but it's not going to be anywhere near an hour and a half. So just kind of stay with me. I'm going to hit the high points, and I went through and I made some notes. And one of the things was if you're looking for a standalone drug plan to go with a Medicare supplement plan, also known as Medigap, you can do that. But if you want a Medigap plan, you really can't do that on the Medicare Plan Finder because they don't have rate information. They have a range of rates. They'll take your zip code and they'll say, well, Medicare supplement plans range from $100 a month to $500 a month. If you want to enroll in a Medicare supplement plan, either go direct to the carrier or find an agent. So that's the deal on that. The drug information, you have two ways. All right, the old Plan Finder is going away as of the end of September 2019. The new Plan Finder is already live and can be used, and you've got two ways to use it. You can use it what they call anonymously, which means you don't have to give them any information at all. You just put in your zip code and county if they ask for it, and then you start entering your drugs. It's going to take a little while to do it. It took me about twice as long as what it would normally take, and it's just it's a little bit of a challenge. It's a slow method. You cannot save your drug information. So if you go in there today and let's say that you take 6 different drugs and you put those in there and you run reports to see, well, which plan should I look at? And then tomorrow you decide, whoa, wait a minute, I forgot about this other drug. I need to go back and add it in. There's no adding it in. You have to enter all of your drugs again one more time unless you have set up an account. Now you can set up a Medicare Plan Finder account. You can use the same login information that you use for MyMedicare.gov. So that's nice. You don't have to keep track of 2 different usernames and passwords. And they also have changed the login criteria, I guess you might say. The old MyMedicare.gov required you to change your password every 60 days. The new one says you only have to change it every 2 years. Well, that's a blessing right there. I'm glad somebody up there came to their senses. However, you cannot use the same password that you have used in the 6 prior times that you have either set up or changed your password. So unless you can remember the password that you have used for the past 12 years, well, I don't know what you're going to do, to be quite honest. This is their rules, not mine. It was a little bit easier. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but it was a little bit easier when you changed your password every 60 days. Now that you only change it every 2 years, well, keep track of 6 years worth of passwords and don't you dare think about repeating them. So it's going to be different from what you've done before. And if you want somebody to help you, now you can do it yourself. If you want somebody to help you, you're really not supposed to give them your username and password because they can use that and then go into your MyMedicare account and they can see all of your claim history and which doctors you've used and, basically all of your personal information. So you really shouldn't share that with somebody. And if you do, whether it's a volunteer, somebody at a church or a school or something like that says, oh yeah, we'll help you with your drug plan. If it's somebody like that, or if it's an insurance agent like myself, we are prohibited from storing your password, username, and password information. So basically, if you want me to help you again next year, you're going to have to give me your username and password and hope that I don't use it for nefarious things, like looking at your medical history and so forth. This is really just not, there's a lot of things about this that I'm not real keen on. Okay, there is not, the login is not secure in that there is not two-factor authorization. You may have accounts with credit cards or banks or places like that, and when you try and log in, they say, well, we want to make sure it's really you. We're going to text a code to your cell phone. They also can send you an email, but most of the time they're going to want to send a text to your cell phone. Well, MyMedicare and the Plan Finder, they don't utilize that. So somebody could pretend to be you and say, well, I've forgotten my password, and so forth, and they'll send them to a list of questions, security questions. That's how they check to make sure that you're really you. So I think there's 3 security questions. You better make sure that you remember the answers to those, because again, you may be in trouble trying to log into your account. So, don't do something silly like, who was the first girl you kissed? Or what was the name of your third pet? Well, maybe the first girl you kissed, that might work, but not the 5th girl that you kissed. So, just make sure that you choose security questions that you can always remember, or write them down somewhere and make sure that nobody else can see them. The one nice thing about the new Plan Finder is it has the ability to import all of the drugs that have been paid for with your drug plan. It does not include drugs that you have paid cash for, you've used GoodRx or something like that, because you could get a lower price than you can use in your drug plan. It also doesn't include any medications that you may get by mail, say from a Canadian pharmacy. So that's not going to be in there. Also, generic pricing. There is this caveat, at least it was in the training that we went through. There is this caveat that the generic pricing may not be accurate. For instance, if you've got one of those $4 prescriptions, generic prescriptions, if you put it on your drug plan finder, you may find that the carrier wants you to pay $22 for a drug that you could get without a drug plan for $4. This has always been an issue, but if you're going to be doing it yourself, which is really what they're encouraging you to do, if you're going to be doing it yourself, just remember you may not want to enter in your generic prescription drugs, or at least before you decide to enter them in, go to a place like GoodRx and check them out and see how they compare with maybe what you're paying now before you even enter those drugs in and consider running them through your Medicare drug plan. There's a lot of changes out there. There's a lot of information. I almost forgot. One of the tools that I relied on considerably when I was helping people with their drug plan was the report where we could print out and show what your copay was every month for 12 months. Because some of the plans have deductibles and some of them don't. Remember, I always recommend a plan that has a deductible, because 99% of the time you'll save money on premium and you'll save money on your copay. And I've got a whole video on that. But the report that we used to use that would show what your copay was while you're trying to satisfy your deductible, after you have satisfied your deductible, after you go into the donut hole, and after you go into the catastrophic level. So you had potentially four different levels where you would see copays that are not the same as they were the very first month. For some reason, Medicare did not consider that report to be useful. It's not on the new Plan Finder. So if you're trying to budget your cost every month and you need to know, well, I know how much my premium is, I just don't know how much my medications are going to cost in January and February and March and June and August and all this kind of stuff, you won't be able to find that. It's not on there. Or if it is, I haven't found it yet. And I've talked to other agents and they haven't found it either. So it may be there, it's just hidden. But as it appears right now, that information is not on there. Same would be true for finding preferred pharmacies. The preferred pharmacies change from year to year. If it's on the site, I haven't been able to find it. I've been told that once you select a drug plan, you will be able to see the preferred pharmacies. Well, what good is that? Once you've already selected a plan. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make a lot of sense, but it is the government. So there's one other thing. I'm not going to get into it on this. I've got another video I'm going to produce talking about the blue button. The blue button is a real interesting wingdinger here, I'll tell you that. It's what were they thinking? But we'll talk about that in another video. This is Bob Vineyard, your Medicare expert with the Georgia Medicare Minute. Take care. Have a great day.